Fatiha for all the Salihab who this majalis has been prepared for. Marhuma Maryam by Pyar Ali Rashid, marhumeens of Rashid Al-Arakia family, marhumeens of Ismail Ghulam Hussain, marhumeens of Bandali Jafar, marhumeens of Pira Okera, marhumeens of Muhammad Taki, Muhammad Ali Hadi Muraj, Rabab by Abdullah, Maryam by Rashid, and marhum Shabir Pyar Ali Rashid. Suratul Mubarakatul Fatiha. ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا وطبيب نفوسنا وحبيب قلوبنا أبي القاسم محمد. اللهم صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم، لا سيما بقية الله روحي وأرواح العالمين لتراب مقدمه الفدا. شيئتنا يفرحون لفراحنا ويحزنون لحزنوننا. Our followers are happy in our happiness and sad, grieved in our sadness. On this occasion, and this week, and this month, let's congratulate the Imam of our time on the birth anniversary of Imam Rida Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Farajahu Sharif. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. With the current times and what we're experiencing today, I will address a few issues in relation to what we are facing in today's current times, inshallah. I remember this verse which I'm going to recite. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. يا أيها الذين آمنوا لا تأكلوا أموالكم بينكم بالباطل إلا أن تكون تجارة عن تراض منكم ولا تقتلوا أنفسكم إن الله كان بكم رحيما. O you who have faith, do not devour each other's property amongst yourselves in vanity, except that it be a trade by your mutual consent. And do not kill your own selves over one another. Verily, Allah is merciful to you. In this verse, I would like to, I remind myself and we remember each other that this verse addresses what is going on many times in our workplaces and what we find when we are working today. So many times we feel that we are at work and we do not address our job correctly. So for example, when we are working, maybe like whenever you are maybe a doctor or a consultant, you will get paid a certain number of for example, of shillings for the certain number of hours you're working with. Now, as you're a consultant, you get paid by the number of hours you're consulting a patient. So sometimes you write on your job sheet the long number of hours, or maybe with a patient who you are taking long, you intentionally make the conversation so long that it looks like you have been consulting him for so long, but you ask him the same questions in the same way, in different ways. So this way your employer thinks that you're actually doing such a good job, but while you are instead just trying to rip your employer off and not doing your job properly. We know that we cannot be 100% all the time productive in our jobs, you know. So for example, sometimes if you're a teacher, you might be going to work at 9 to 5, but you have had a hectic day, and you know your students have given you a very torrid time, and you've had like students jumping all over. So when you go back to the classroom or wherever you like marking, doing your sheets and everything, and sometimes you just decide to take like a half an hour break, you know, just to cool down because you have another class. That way it doesn't mean you're taking a break, so you're actually cheating your employer. No, that is something that is known. So something that is known, it is not something like you're cheating. That's why in this verse it says, "O you who have faith, do not devour each other's property among yourselves in vanity, except that it may be by a mutual consent." I'll just go further in this. In this verse, we are also reminded when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "O you who have faith, O believers, do not devour amongst yourselves in each other's property." It means do not cheat yourselves in business transactions, in any transaction. Whether it be your brother, don't cheat in inheritance, don't cheat, don't be a fraud, don't con each other, And make sure whatever you do is what you have agreed. So whenever you enter or do a business transaction, make sure it is by mutual consent. Yeah. So let's say, for example, if you're a doctor. No, let me not say a doctor because I just mentioned a consultant. Yeah. So let's be fair. So for example, let me make it this further. You're about to sell a vehicle to somebody. Yeah. And you tell that person, "This is a vehicle and this is for sale. Please come and buy it. Bo find-chet and a gamse, come and buy it." So people come, have a look at it, and they want to buy it. They agree a price, what you negotiate with them. But while you are negotiating with them, you do not tell them that in this sale, maybe this car had got an accident, or maybe the engine has a problem, or maybe there's a spare part problem, or maybe this truck or this vehicle had totaled itself and had a big maintenance thing that had happened. So this way you will say, "No, I consulted him and we agreed upon it. However, you have actually cheated him." Because when a transaction of like that sort has occurred, you have to tell him, "My brother, this is my vehicle. However, there was an accident here, I have repaired it. There was this problem, it has repaired, and this is the charge of this vehicle. So let's continue doing this transaction." So this is how this verse says that in our today's world, we should be transacting in our business. Speaking on mutually acceptable transaction, Imam Rida alayhi salam, please let's just salam. Imam Rida alayhi salam was one day walking with Sulaiman bin Ja'far and had gone out for some work. This is a famous story, but I'm just repeating it. It was sunset with Sulaiman bin Ja'far and they wanted to return home. Imam Rida alayhi salam said to him, "Sulaiman, come to my house. Let's go to my house and we will have dinner together over there." So he said, "No, it's okay, Imam Rida." Imam Rida insisted, so he came. While he was entering his house, it was like evening time. He saw people, the people working were busy gardening and everything over there. And while he was walking, he saw a new person there. So he asked, "Who is this new person here?" This guy said, "He's a new guy and we've just kept him here." So Imam Rida asked him, "Did you agree with him? What have you agreed with him? What is his wage?" He's like, "It's all right, he's my friend. Later we'll just agree with something. He was in need, so I just agreed with him." So Imam Rida alayhi salam turned very red and upset. So this Sulaiman asked Imam Rida, "What makes you so uncomfortable? Why did you turn so red?" He's like, "I have told them so many times that whenever you are getting done work with somebody, first fix an agreement, agree a wage, agree what is this. Not later tell him, "Okay, I'll pay you off." Why? Even if you have fixed the wage, you have to give him extra sometimes, Imam Rida alayhi salam is saying. So he said, maybe, okay, you've given him some work, he is in need, you have paid him, but because he was in need, but he's not satisfied according to the work you are doing, so that is like dhulm on him. However, if you have fixed the wage, and then after the wage you give him something extra, he will be more appreciative, and rather that should be the way of the Ahlul Bayt and the followers of Ahlul Bayt. You see sometimes, let me give you an example. Sometimes we have a fundi, we call him at home. He comes, he repairs something, like water is leaking or something, and he repairs, does a good job. At the end of the day, we tell him, shingapi, he says, elfu salasini. Salasini baba. Hii kazi yetu haifai. Hii kazi nafanyaga 10,000 tu. No. And then we start scratching our head, no, 15,000, watoto, unajua. He starts telling you his problems. You tell him, no, 25,000, no. You negotiate with them. At the end of the day, he says, okay, whatever. Okay, you say how much? Okay, 15,000? Okay. So maybe you agree 15,000. Then at the end, he's leaving. I say, Baba, umerizika? You're okay, huh? You're okay in your heart. So you are trying, you know that sometimes you actually didn't do justice, but you ask him, Yalla, you're radhiya. And that is where it comes in this verse where I read, Antaradi minkum. Then make sure it is agreed, and both of you are radhi. Both of you have agreed in mutual consent. So maybe you will say that, no, this is like this, but make sure before he has actually fixed, you show him the job. This is your job, this water is leaking, this pipe has to be agreed, how much will this cost? He will tell you 30,000, you're not pleased with that. You tell him, please, I'm not agreeing with this, let's do this much. If he is agreed, then, not later you come and tell him, and then you ask him, you give him 15,000, half of what he is asking, and you tell him, are you radhi? He will be scared to say, no, he's not radhi, because next time you'll not call him. Let's please recite a salawat. In this story of Imam Rida also, it reminded me of the current times that we are in with business owners, you know. We as the youth here many times speak to each other, and we have seen that with this pandemic, a lot of people have been affected. You know, Arusha especially, we deal a lot with the tourism industry. So a lot of tourism companies have almost set their staff home, cut off, and everything like that. However, unfortunately, some other companies have taken advantage of this situation. So they tell their workers, although they are not in the tourism industry, they have not been affected as much as the tourism industry. They have already taken this advantage, told their workers, Baba, halim baya. So even they have slashed their workers' wages to 50%. Baba, this is not what you had agreed with in the first place. Was this what you had agreed with your, okay, agreed that this salary, this pandemic has brought a very vast challenge in all businesses globally. But some businesses have not been affected like other businesses. So how are we treating our employees? How are we doing justice with them? We're paying them 50, some people are paying them 30%. Was this agreed initially? And now we take this advantage because we can pin them down. Right now there is no, with the current economic situation, where will they go? They can't say, okay, Baba, I'm not happy, I'm going. No, they'll tell you, okay, whatever you agree on. But in your heart, you have to see, because by this verse it says, إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ تِجَارَةً تَرَاضٍ مِنْكُمْ, except that it should be a transaction by our mutual consent. That both of the employer and the employee have both agreed, they're both radhi. So this time we should not take this and put it on our employees, or the employees should not take this opportunity and tell the employers, Baba, my family is like this, that, because of this problem, so give me more, or give me a discount, or all these things, my children are not going to school. So it works both ways. Yeah. So you had not accepted that position with your employer, rather also the same way with your employee. بحب الأب الحسن غريب الغرباء الصلوات الله. On the way to Khurasan, one of the witnesses from Balkh narrates, I was among the attendants of His Holiness Imam Rida, and at dinner Imam invited all his men around and asked them to have dinner with him. There were a few other African slaves there, and amongst them they were all having dinner. So one of the other people asked the Arab companions, Ya Imam Rida, we are putting our table cloth here for the African slaves, servants will put it there. Imam Rida said, nah, we will all eat together in one sufra. So this guy said, why Imam Rida? He said, we are all from the same flesh and blood. Why should they eat separately? We will all eat together. Since the story was telling us about equality here, that we are all equals in terms of human beings, I also remembered another thing with this, current pandemic that we were addressing about the employees. There are some, for example, we should think about also the employers, that sometimes what kind of work they are doing, for example, while paying employees. We have the same person. He's doing the same job. And another brother, he's also doing the same job, but there is a vast difference in pay. Why is that so? Just because of the color of his skin, but Imam Rida said we are all the same. Sometimes, in fact, you give somebody else more load than the other brother. Well, the qualification is the same, the job description is the same, everything is the same. How are we going to reply this about equality? Since this is the month of Imam Ali ibn Musa Rida, let's brush our knowledge a little bit of our Imam. Imam Rida alayhi salam, Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. We should know that Imam Rida alayhi salam's mother was from North Africa. Her name was Arwa. In some other places, famously known as Najma. Also, in some other places, Tuktan. These are all the names of Imam Rida's mother. She was of North African descent, like Imam Rida's grandmother. So Imam Rida's grandmother is who? The mother of Imam Musa al-Kadhim. Please raise the Sara Salawat. Allahumma salli ala. All these mothers of our Imams, they were from North Africa. So some people might ask, why did our Imams marry women from North Africa and not from Medina? They would have asked anybody, let's marry from Medina. Well, you know, there are more detailed discussions with like people like Maulana have, but into like simple level, maybe for me, I will just try to say in Islam, we wanted to break all stereotypes and boundaries. So Imam was showing us this by example. It is a religion for all races, a religion that caters just for a specific race or a specific type of people is a discriminative religion, which alhamdulillah our religion is not. The story that I read out clearly earlier shows how our Imams taught us to lead by example. The other point, second point would be that our Imams, when our Imams got married to the ladies from North Africa, how did they get married there? That is when Islam spread to Africa. How? Through their companions. They were doing tabligh, they traveled because the companions were taught and they spread Islam all over the world. That's why we see in Malaysia, Islam is dominant. There, Islam is dominant. North African countries, some East African, some West African, because all the companions and different people went to different parts of the world to do tabligh, and that's how Islam spread all over the world. So, later, there are some people who are claiming that you people became Muslim after us, after Arabs. So you people are of second class because we are more important, Baba. So people were saying that these people who converted, Islam came later to you. So we are your top dogs. Yeah? But it doesn't work like that. So Imam alayhi salam showed us that those companions who brought the religion to them, I am their Imam. Those companions who brought the religion to you, I am their Imam. So me being their Imam, I married a woman from North African descent. So we are at the same level and there is nothing different between all of us because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will judge us with our actions and our deeds, inshallah. Imam Rida alayhi salam also says, please raise your salawat. Allahumma salli ala. That it makes you happy and you desire to be with us in the ranks of paradise, then be happy when we are happy and be sad when we are sad. Let's take ourselves to the day of Ashura. On the day of Ashura, when our Imam Hussein alayhi salam was left alone on the battlefield, Ma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, on the battlefield of Karbala, he looked at the sky and said, Hal min nasirin yansuruna. At the moment, Imam Hussein heard his baby crying. It was his 6, 8-month-old baby. It was Ali Asghar, tormented by the pangs of hunger and thirst. Imam walked into Bibi Rabab's tent. He lifted the child from the cradle and he said, Rabab, I will take him to Yazid's army. Surely they cannot possibly deny this little infant a few drops of water. Rabab changed Ali Asgar's clothes. She even tied a small turban on his head like any other mother. Because Ali Asgar was going to strangers. So she wanted her little Ali Asgar to look so smart and handsome in front of the strangers. Imam Hussein carried the child to the battlefield, walking up to Yazid's soldiers. Imam Hussein alayhi salam said, "O soldiers of Yazid, this child has done no harm to you. He is dying of thirst. Please give him a few drops of water." There was no response. "If you are afraid that when you bring Asghar any water, I will drink it, look, I will put him on the ground and you can come yourself and give him water." He put the child on the sands of Karbala and moved a couple of steps back. Let's imagine how hot the sand of Karbala was, the desert. Asghar with his delicate back. A cry amongst the soldiers arose, but no one came forward to give water to the baby. Imam took Asghar in his arms and in a clear voice said, "Asghar, my son, show them how thirsty you are." Imam said, "Asghar, show them how thirsty you are." Asghar turned his head towards the soldiers. He smiled, opened his mouth, brought out his dry tongue, moved it over his lips. The ultimate sword was unsheathed. The soldiers were so moved by this, the army of Yazid, they could be heard sobbing. Still they were afraid of Yazid, and no one dared to come forward to give water to Ali Asghar. Umar Asad was worried. He looked at Hurmala. He said, "If I leave this longer, the soldiers will have sympathy for Abu Abdullah." He said, "Silence Hussein, Hurmala." Hurmala lifted his bow. He aimed his arrow. The arrow flew across the hot desert. Asghar lifted his head and arched his neck. Asghar lay still on his father's arms. Imam Hussein looked down at Asghar's neck. Imagine a father looking this at his 6-month-old baby. He saw the arrow, he saw the neck, he saw the smile, and he could see no more. For a moment, everything went dark. He could not see. He felt an unbearable wave of pain. Slowly, Hussein looked at the baby in his arms. He filled his palm with the blood of the baby and threw it upwards towards the sky, complaining to Allah, "Oh Allah, oh my Lord, but it is enough for me that you are witnessing what I am going through." وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلَبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ. Let's recite the Surah Fatiha for all the marhumeen who this Isal Sawab has been recited for, and كل أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات ثواب الفاتحة.